hormones affect our health to a degree that is hardly conceivable, from your mood, energy, and motivation to how fast you age. Yet people have no idea how to work with them instead of against them. So today I'm breaking down little-known science-backed hacks to sync your daily routines with your hormones so you can boost performance, protect your health, and feel amazing long-term. I'm talking metabolism, energy balance, immunity, mood, reproduction, social and emotional behaviors, physical performance, learning, motivation, memory, stress. You get it. Welcome back. I'm Nova and you're listening to the Supernova Shift podcast. Today is the guide to understand how your hormones work and way past just general knowledge, and the best hacks to support a healthier lifestyle so your body isn't constantly fighting for balance. We are going to be focusing on female hormones. This links to the menstrual cycle, etc. The podcast chapters will be broken down into first a breakdown of your hormones, then how they affect your well-being, signs that they're out of balance, and key habits to hack them, with some hacks dedicated especially to women's hormonal balance. We're going to start with a breakdown of your hormones because I think understanding them is the first step to actually working with them. So your endocrine system, which is the system in your body that produces hormones, is tightly integrated with your nervous system. Hormones will act on the brain to change your behavior. Behavior and environment are going to influence hormone release, which is how habits and hacks can actually change your well-being. By influencing your behavior and your environment, you can change the way your hormones are released. So this is your evidence-based foundation to explain how hormones levels influence not just your mood, but the real decisions that we make every day. There's been studies on how hormones impact decision making. Not only do hormones influence behavior, but behavior, environments, and experiences can influence the way your hormones are released. Hormones affect growth and development in children and teens, obviously, but also metabolism, energy balance, immunity, mood, and all the things I listed in the beginning of this podcast. There's so many things. And just on the long term, there's overall health and aging. There's social behaviors, stress, and daily rhythms, and environmental factors that can modify hormone secretion and influence your future behavior. How insane is that? So the main hormones that we like to talk about, or that you've probably heard of before, are estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, oxytocin, and serotonin, which you may be familiar with, but we will also explore vasopressin, melatonin, ghrelin, leptin, insulin, and adiponectin. Chapter 2 already is how they affect your well-being. This was, or the few facts that I'm about to list are from a article in Neurotransmitters and Hormones in Human Decision Making, the title in Psychiatry and Neuroscience Update, Springer 2021. So this is actually quite recent. Oxytocin and vasopressin are associated with social trust and moral choice, bonding, cooperation, and even things like empathy and generosity. Testosterone is linked with riskier decision making and dominance. And not only in men, I'm guessing. Serotonin is going to be linked to impulsivity and fair decisions. And the stress hormones like cortisol, even though there are more, are associated in risky decisions, especially in men. Estrogen, however, is kind of like the mood stabilizer. It's linked to mood stability, sharper verbal skills, social bonding, but also things like your skin health, your menstrual cycle regulation, and your bone health. High levels of estrogen levels will increase your confidence, and you'll have better verbal memory and actually a higher pain tolerance. However, low levels of it are going to include brain fog, mood dips, joint aches, and more sensitive skin. Progesterone is linked to calmness, relaxation, and improved sleep, as well as body temperature rise. Higher levels of it are linked to more chill but lower energy, sometimes mild bloating or cravings, and lower levels are going to link to anxiety, irritability, and poor sleep quality. Then we have the hormones that are less talked about, which is, we're going to start with vasopressin, which is the antidiuretic hormone, which means it basically regulates water balance so that you don't pee every 2 seconds, but is also linked to social bonding and pair bonding in some studies. Its effects are that they can influence partner attachment and even jealousy responses. I don't really get why the antidiuretic hormone is linked to partner attachment, but the body is strange. Then we have melatonin. You've probably heard that one before. And its role is to regulate sleep-wake cycles and it also interacts with the reproductive hormones, which is generally talked of less. Its effects are going to be good melatonin rhythm, and that can actually stabilize menstrual cycles and protect against premenstrual symptoms and mood swings. There's going to be hacks on that coming really soon. Then we have ghrelin and leptin, and their roles are to control hunger and satiety. So ghrelin spikes before meals so that you feel hungry, and leptin signals fullness and energy balance. So they work together. And a note on this is that sleep deprivation actually messes with both of these hormones. That's why craving and overeating increase when you don't sleep enough. There's a lot of side effects to not sleeping enough. I read this really good book from this woman who was a Harvard researcher, I think. It was such a good book, and I really want to make a podcast episode on it, but I'm moving right now and I don't know where I put the book. But you might expect an episode coming on this season. Then we have insulin, which this is a more familiar one, and its role is to regulate blood sugar and is tightly linked to ovarian function. It doesn't just do blood sugar. And its effects are that poor insulin sensitivity can worsen PMS or PCOS symptoms. And PCOS is a hormonal condition that affects women of reproductive age. I've seen this YouTuber that has PCOS and talks about it. It does not look fun at all. It looks really horrible. And PMS is premenstrual symptom. Then there's adiponectin, and its role is basically it's secreted by fat tissue and it improves insulin sensitivity and fat metabolism. And its effects are that higher levels of it include better weight control and lower inflammation. We're already on the 3rd chapter. I feel like this is going to be an episode that's a bit shorter than usual. But let's not talk too soon, because this is one of the most important chapters, signs that they're out of balance. These are potential signs, especially for women, that your hormones are out of sync. And I feel like they're kind of signs to look for when your hormones get messed up before your period. And then these become abnormal when they happen randomly mid-cycle. If you get afternoon energy crashes, especially in the week before your period, or if you have trouble falling asleep, or you wake up at 3 to 4 a.m. consistently, or like random hours, or if you're really tired at night but just can't fall asleep. This happened to me really recently. I was about to have my period and I was exhausted, but I just couldn't fall asleep. It was really weird. There's a lot of weird symptoms when it comes to periods. But again, these become abnormal and are signs that you're out of balance when they happen just randomly, not just before your period. Then there's the one that premenstrual symptoms are so intense that they disrupt your daily life, or that your periods are irregular, extremely heavy, or very light. Again, links into the irregular thing. Or you just have really strong cravings for sugar, caffeine, or salt in random phases of your cycle. Then there's the fact that you might get mood swings that feel completely out of proportion compared to the real situation. Or if you're experiencing brain fog or just trouble concentrating in mid-cycle or a week before your period, if you're feeling more anxious or really down without a clear reason, maybe there's been sudden changes in your appetite, or I know that happens, like there's big changes in my appetite on my period. Like I won't feel hungry in the morning, for example, even though I've trained myself to eat a lot in the morning. So it changes. Then there's difficulty maintaining a stable weight despite constant eating or exercise. I feel like that's a bit more of a serious one because, it happens all the time. That's a big sign of that your hormones are disrupted. And there's increased bloating in random phases of your cycle. When it comes to strength and workouts, it might feel like your workouts feel unusually hard despite your normal efforts, or you have slower muscle recovery or more frequent soreness. You can't really recover that well from your soreness, or you're feeling weaker during certain weeks without adjusting your training. Other hormonal cues can include changes in your skin health or your hair health throughout the month that feel really extreme, or you might get very frequent headaches or migraines. You might have cold hands and feet, low body temperature, or just become more sensitive to heat in general. Our last chapter, this is going so fast, the key habits to hack them, with some hacks dedicated especially to women's hormonal balance. Here are some super efficient, scientifically proven, underaddressed hacks for the most of the hormones I listed so far. And I was surprised myself when I learned some of these. The first one, though, I put it first because I have definitely experienced this. It's to use olfactory cues to modulate oxytocin and cortisol. The mechanism basically works like this. The scent directly accesses the limbic system because olfactory cues are scents. And the limbic system is the group of brain structures that will regulate emotion, memory, motivation, and behavior, which will then influence bonding and stress. And how to do this is that you should have a safety scent. That could be a perfume extract, an essential oil, a herb pouch, like for example, maybe my grandma does these herb pouches with dried lavender in them. Anything really that smells good, and only smell it during moments where you feel calm or happy or peaceful. And over time, if you smell it in a stressful setting, it can really induce parasympathetic activation, which is a system that relaxes the body after a stressful event, and your body associates the scent with safety. Now, this also means getting rid of any scents that you associate with stress, any perfumes that remind you of stressful, unhappy times. I had a lucky perfume in middle school that I would always wear during test days because I low-key believed it brought me luck, and it would kind of help me psychologically. But then later, I couldn't wear it anymore. 1 year later, 2 years later, 2 years later, bro. 2 years later, because it reminded me of the exam stresses when I wore it. So it was an olfactory cue, but for stress. Like I would smell it and then I would feel stressed immediately. The second thing that you can do is manipulate light exposure for leptin and ghrelin control. Because bright morning light stabilizes leptin, which controls satiety, and ghrelin, which controls hunger. And it's gonna, kind of like stabilize these rhythms, and it will directly impact fat storage and appetite regulation. So the way you can do this the way you can use this mechanism is to get 10 minutes of direct outdoor light within 30 minutes of waking, even when it's cloudy. Skip sunglasses for this short amount of time if it's really sunny to get your retinal sensors to reset circadian hormones. But if you live in a cold maybe Scandinavian country, like I used to, you can have those special light panels. They don't cost too much, and you just blast light in your face in the morning to help you with the winter darkness. And honestly, if you struggle with seasonal depression, you can do this even if you live in a country where winter isn't that extreme. You can still